Ever thought about the secret sauce behind a top-notch race? It's the race committee, the unsung heroes. They're the pulse of any event, making the magic happen. From laying out the course to making the big calls, these wizards of the race make sure every event is a blast. So hop on board and join the club of these race maestros. Your thrilling adventure into the world of race committee starts here.
Welcome. It's a good start. Well, thank you all for attending. We'll make this a little less formal. This is really appreciate the interest. And this is the second in our series of, I don't know. But we will have a few more training sessions. The first one was a great one to get us oriented, the big picture on the whole thing, what it takes when you're all done and you're a PRO to run a race, all this stuff. Now we're getting into some of the basics. This is the fun part, the flags, right? This is the language of yacht racing, so it's really pretty cool. So Karen, pick it up.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Karen Vandermaiden. I'm one of the certified race officers here. As I said in Race Committee 101, there's no experience necessary. In the flags, there's no brain or experience required. You know, it's flag up, flag down, and it's all on the command of the PRO.
You blame the PRO. Okay.
You always blame the PRO. There are no independent thoughts in Race Committee except that of the PRO. The racing rules, just so everybody knows, has every flag A to Z. They don't really tell you on this page, but if you open it up, it's the exact same thing that we have hanging up by our cork board downstairs. And it's every flag a principal race officer needs. They only use 1/3, sometimes 1/2 of these flags, but it's every flag that you need if you're going to. Our club has every one of these flags. I just personally, because I do this here in California, I have my own set. You can go to ussailing.org and they have stickers that you can put on your boat. We put it on the backside of a clipboard, and it again gives you all the flags. So if you see a flag flying and you've never seen it before, you should have something like this on your boat so you can see what they're going to do. What I'm going to do is walk through the sequence of the flags, as in how you use them and when you use them. And the first flag, they make them awful big now. These used to be half the size. But this, you can't leave the harbor without a race committee flag. You have to be known, hold it straight up. You have to know that you're the race committee, and on the Markset boats they have these too. Every boat that's associated with the race committee out on a regatta or a small boat should have a race committee flag. This flag has been around 150 years or so, and somehow, some way, the racers decided blue was just too hard to see. They couldn't find the boat. They didn't know where the boat was. So last summer, 2022, they have authorized, U.S. Sailing has authorized the use of the yellow flag. Again, RC, again, easy to see, easier to see than a blue flag. So you put these flags up as you leave the harbor.
We don't have many yellow flags.
No, I think that we only have one downstairs.
So it goes off the stern? Where does it go?
Wherever it's usually the highest point in your boat.
Okay.
When you get on station, and you want your boats to check in, this is the Lima flag. And this flag goes out to say that come check your boat in. It is also, if for some reason the wind clocks and the race committee boat has to move, this flag goes, well, when this flag goes up, it goes up with one horn. And if it comes down and then goes up again, it typically means we now have the course board up there. Come look at the course board. Now that you've checked in, we've got the course board telling you what the course is going to be. But if you see the race committee boats start to move, up anchor and start to move, this is also the come with and hail, or come with and hail was to check in. It's also the follow me flag. If you see that and the race committee boat starts to move and you see this blind, you know they're moving to another location, another proximity out there on the water. No horn when this comes down, no. I always use this, and again, when you're on station, I always use this for the youth. This means PFDs must be worn at all times.
Yes. Does it have a name or a letter?
Huh?
What name or letter?
This is the, I think,
Y.
J? No, Y.
Y.
It's the Y. It's the Y flag, and this flag has to be flown for the duration of the regatta. If this flag comes down, the kids start peeling off their PFDs. So you need to keep this up, and it goes up with one sound. And it typically doesn't go down until you're heading into the harbor where there are no more sounds. And again, sounds are courtesy. It's the flag that you look at. Then, when you're on station and you've got your course set, typically some people put it up before, but you usually shouldn't put it out till the course is set, because when the course is set, the boats will come and ding. This is what they call the start flag. They will ding this flag on the boat, look down the line, and know exactly, you know, how far and what the distance of the line is and how close to the boat and when they, you know, will be over. They've got so many instruments now that, you know, the GPS will say you're across the line. But this is the orange flag. This used to be not only the start flag, it used to be the finish flag. So boats would start and look for this, they'd finish and look for this between this and a pin, a ball. One of these balls, whether it's red or white, it's typically over there. And this is the start flag, yep.
So that can be flown anywhere, or is it predominantly like midship? I noticed a lot of the regatta it's usually midship, but it can be from bow to stern.
It can be anywhere on the boat that the PRO is comfortable. We have done finishes where we put it on the bow. We've done starts where it's mid.
So another, like when I'm pinning a line with the instruments, I pin off that to the
ball.
To the pin boat, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's off the orange flag, right?
Yeah, and if anybody went to the Mermaid Monday, we were all about starts, and he talked about if it's on the bow, that leaves a lot of space in the back of the stern of the boat where people will congregate and try to get a good start. If you put it all the way in the bow, or all the way in the stern, then it's a very dynamic line. There's no place for them to barge. It's in the back. We typically put it in the center of the boat.
Yeah, it's like,
Yes.
Sometimes there's a boat instead of a mark, you know, on both ends, so that there is maybe another boat that's empty. Would we put that on both of those
No,
boats?
it's only on the signal boat. Only on the signal boat. Sometimes they're on a start line. Sometimes the line is so long they'll put a mid mark. But that again is a mid mark, and it's usually either slightly behind or slightly forward of this straight line across. But it's just to give the PRO a halfway point so that they can look at boats. What you're looking at when you said there's a boat on the other end, we call that the pin end boat, where the line is so long and the sails get so congregated. The signal boat is calling to the pin end boat saying, who did you see over? Did you see anybody over? There's constant communication. So if we got blanketed by somebody coming, you know, dead on and we missed a couple that were over, they'll call us, and that's the pin end boat.
So you, as a PRO, you stand next to that flag.
I literally, my eyesight is from this flag, the stanchion of the flag, to the front of the ball. It's not midway of the ball, it's not the back of the ball. The course side is between this stanchion and the front of the ball. So many times I have the sailors come in and go, he was over, and I'd say, no, I saw the ball. And he says, well, he was crossed into the ball. It's not the ball, it's the front of the ball determines the course side and the non-course side.
Okay, good.
So.
I should mention these are Karen's personal flags, and they're in very good shape. I Now, if you go down to our hook block, you're going to find that the flags have been there for a while.
Yep.
And you're going to find this finish line flag, the orange. All you're looking for is something close, meaning
Red.
there's
See,
red,
I've seen it red. I thought
there's
it was
red faded, there's orange faded and mutilated. There's something, and seriously, something in that general range, because the flags have been there a while, just to note. And most of them are kind of on the reddish side,
Very much, definitely on the redder side.
just so you know.
Now, in 2021, the sailors petitioned U.S. Sailing and said, well, we weren't sure if we were starting or finishing. We didn't know why the flag was up. Is another fleet starting? Or are we finishing? So U.S. Sailing says now, blue means you're finishing, orange means you're starting. So if you see the blue flag, there's no starts going on, there's only finishes going on. But in small boats, when we do small regattas and in small boats and in some of the youth regattas, we will say the orange is your start and your finish. It will be in the sailing instructions. Everything is in your sailing instructions.
So we can still use the red and orange flag as the finish line.
As the finish line, as long as you inform the competitors that it's a start and finish.
So for shorthanded, use ones.
Yes.
If you're going to use the blue finish, do you put it, like, where do you put it on the boat? And do you have to, like, put it up near when they're starting to finish?
When I start and finish on the same side, the port side of the boat, I will have both flags standing. And what I do is I have Velcro, and one is always wrapped up in Velcro, and the other one is open. So if we're starting, the orange is open and flapping in the wind. And then after we start all the boats, I roll it up, put it in Velcro, and then I unroll the blue one and let it know that we're now finishing. So I don't want to confuse the sailors.
And you use the mid-boat, the same position?
I do typically mid-boat. I did one big boat regatta where it was just so windy, and I actually went up to the fly bridge in the back of the boat and started from there. Because I didn't want anybody on the bow of the boat, it just became unsteady. So we did everything from the stern of the boat. And if you were here last time, always, after you set your start line, always have my favorite flag. It's called AP, and it's the postpone. So if there's not enough wind, or I've made a mistake, or I'm going to reset the line, and the time limit said I was going to start at 1 o'clock, and it's now exactly 1 o'clock, and I'm not ready to start, this goes up. And if this is up while we're on land side, and it looks like we're going to have a delay, this goes up with 2 horns, and if it goes up with 2 horns, you know you're going to be heading out within a half an hour or so. If it goes up with 2 horns and the number 1 pennant, we have a whole set of pennants, 1 through 9. If it goes up with the number 1, it means that race is not going to start for at least 1 hour. So every number counts, and in this case, this happens to be the number 5. If you were going to have an 8 o'clock start and you said there's not going to be wind for 5 hours, you'd put up the AP with a 5-hour, and so that would let the racers know they can go out to breakfast, or it's going to be a while. They're not going to just be sitting around the club.
So that's right on land here.
This is on land if you do. And also, you can also do it on the water. If you put up the AP and you know it's going to be at least an hour before the wind comes up, and the sailors are just going around and around and around. Let them know it's going to be an hour.
Do you use those pennants?
Yes.
Okay.
You fly it right underneath the AP. You put the AP and you put that right underneath. Yes?
So you put up the 1 hour flag. I guess we had this discussion I was never clear on.
Yep.
And the wind comes up. Can you shorten that, or you're committed to that 1 hour?
You're committed to that 1 hour.
Same thing with the 5. Say you threw a 5-hour flag up.
You're committed to that 5 hours.
Is there a 30-minute flag?
No.
No, maybe do it in.
Well, that's why we just typically will put that up and
Two
not
ones
put a
up.
pennant. We won't put a pennant, so
Right.
it's keeping the sailors around. And when that comes down, in the book, in the rules, it says when this comes down, you're supposed to start, or you're supposed to put up your warning flag, which is your class flag, within 1 minute. We will change that to 30 minutes land side. If you see this on the water, when this comes down with one, it goes up with 2, comes down with 1. When you know it's down with 1, you know your warning, your class flag will be going up within 1 minute. So, but land side, you got to get the sailors enough time to get out there. So,
And what is this flag called again?
it's called the AP.
And what is it called?
Post pump.
And what is it called if you're working for Pat Lambert?
No, the cat in the hat. The cat in the hat. Thank you, Art. The cat. He'll go, "Where's the cat in the hat flag?"
So if Pat's the PRO and he's talking about the cat in the hat, and you have no idea what he's talking about, and he's getting very, very urgent about it, this is what he's talking about, the cat in the hat.
Cat in the hat. Exactly.
Again, you said 2 horns up.
2 horns up, 1 horn down.
And you're probably all too young to remember Dr. Zeus, but that's where I think where it came from.
Do you have a A flag? Just see.
Yes, we have an A.
Can I just, that goes with postponement sometimes when they're just gonna do.
Yeah, I was. Let me get to that. Let me get to that.
Okay, yeah.
When I talked about warning flags or class flags, I'll just show you one. This is Sunfish.
Oh, cute.
It's, it's whatever logo. We've got a J24, we've got a 420, we've got a laser, we've got an Opti. This is your warning flag or your class flag. This goes up at the start of your sequence, and then you're really not racing. This is like they say, a warning. You've got a 1 minute warning. This goes up with 1 sound. Your class flag goes up with 1 sound, and you've got a 1 minute warning. Then, after that, you get into preparatory flags. There are 5 preparatory flags. We always talk about the prep flag. Well, there's 5 of them. The first one is this standard P flag. And because it's P, everybody thinks, oh, it's the only preparatory flag. No, this is the preparatory flag with no penalties. You can dip, you can cross the line, you can be anywhere you want as long as before the start sounds, before your class flag comes down, you have to be off the course side. You have to be behind that imaginary line between the orange flag and the ball. So this is, you can wiggle your way, and as long as you're off the course, you can come right back up and start. So there's no penalty. You can get on the course as fast as you can with this flag.
Karen, is a dip just touching your bow, or the whole boat has to go behind the start flag?
At the start, your whole boat has to be off the course.
Right.
To clear, you only need to cross a portion of your boat, and then you can go back out. The first penalty, this is again a prep flag, and it's called the I flag. And when you see this, that means 1 minute before the start, you cannot cross that imaginary start line. And I've had people, when I fly this flag, they cross the line at 55 seconds from their start. They have penalized themselves. What they have to do with this flag is they have to go around the signal boat or around the pin end, clear their boat, and be still on the back side to start. So this is the first penalty, which we call ends around. Ends around, and it's 30.1 of your racing rules. It tells you what you have to do. The second penalty is 30.2 when I fly this as a prep flag. If I fly this, that means if you're on the course side, if you start early, you get an automatic 20% penalty. No questions asked. So this one is kind of hefty, and again, it's...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one? I'm sorry, Karen. Can you repeat that one again?
This is what they call, this flag is the Z flag. And if you are on course side, if you started early, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get a 20% penalty, which means if there's 10 boats in the regatta and you come in 5th, you automatically get 7th.
So they're not going to call it individual or anything like that. So you can continue racing. You're just going to get the 20%. Okay, penalty. That's
You
what I
don't
was
have to
asking.
clear
Okay.
yourself?
You can't
Wait a minute, I have to look at that rule.
I don't think you can clear
Oh.
yourself with one of those 20%
Yeah,
penalties.
I
no clear.
haven't used this one in a while. Look. Here,
Yeah.
30.2. We-
Record everybody who went over.
We at this club and Pat in particular use the U flag, which is brand new in 2020. I don't know, 2017. It's 30.3. This one, if you see this one flying and you're over early, don't bother. You're disqualified for that race. You're done for that race. We don't call you. We do not hail you.
We don't hail.
We don't hail on this one. Again, I don't remember the Z flag.
What if they ask? What if they ask? What if they come by and say, was I out? Was I over? Am I disqualified?
The answer is if the flag, if the individual recall or the general recall is flying, somebody was.
Z flag is 20%, and you can't be in a triangle.
Right, but can you
Clear.
Can you clear? Do you have? No, the answer is do you have to clear? Do you have to clear? And then
Is this the
the 30.4 rule 30.4. If you see this one flying
Just go home.
and you're over at the start, go home.
Yeah.
You're done for the regatta.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the letter for the black flag? Is it black?
There's no letter, it's just black.
It's just black.
Yeah. Now, so you've got your class flag up. Your class flag stays up while your preparatories, any one of the 5, go up and then come down, and your class flag is still up. And then you're within seconds of the start, and the class flag goes down. Depending on who you saw over, if you know the numbers of the boats, and you can discern which ones were over, this is what they call the individual recall or the X flag. That means you were over, we try to hail you and say you were over, like boat 321, you were over, but you always look back. And if no one's going back and you were close to that start line, it was probably you. So this will come down as soon as the offenders, 1 or 5 or 20, however many you called individually, this will come down when they've all cleared. If they all haven't cleared, it stays up for 4 minutes. And again, all these flags as they go up, it's one sound. And they come down with the next flag.
So are you calling them over the radio?
If there's a big
Specifically
boat, we
pointing them
call
out?
them over the radio. If it's small boats, we try to hail them, or I have a megaphone, I try. But again, hailing is a courtesy.
Right, that's what you said last time.
Yeah, you have
So
to.
how does that work for big boats then? Because that's quite a distance. Dinghy, I understand, the flag not, that you're
They-
calling the sail is a courtesy, but the big boats, they have to just look around and know that they were over.
Yep, exactly, exactly.
And if you don't know and the flag still hasn't come down, sometimes you go back anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had in the small boats, we had 2 lasers, and I'm like, what are they doing? They're going back because they thought they were over, and they were. So.
Aww.
But you know, at least they were sportsmen.
So for 4 minutes max.
If you can't individually call and know how many boats were over, you fly this pennant. It's called the first substitute pennant. And this means Okay, we're stopping and going to start all over again, guys. This is what we call a general recall. So come on back. And this goes up with 2 horns. So along with the postpone and this flag, it's 2 horns. And the sailors know that there's no more racing. You're not starting. We're either postponing or it's a general recall.
When you said 2 horns for those 2 flags, that is again a courtesy?
No, the horns, yeah, it's a courtesy, but the flags go up.
Right, but
if you
the
hear,
horn is still a courtesy.
Yeah, but if you hear the horn and you hear 2 horns, you know, okay, we all have to start again. We'll have to do this over.
How long does that stay up?
This stays up, thank you. This stays up like the postpone flag. It stays up till 1 minute before you put up your warning flag or your class flag. And it comes down with 1 horn and then a minute later, the class or warning flag goes up.
Okay.
So it goes down with 1 horn, as does the postpone, and a minute later, you're going to start the sequence for your fleet. So your class flag will go up. Now, as somebody asked, and here we go. Oh no, we're not there yet. This is a missing mark. If you see this is an M flag. If you see this, and you see it on any boat, and you see this, the mark is missing, go around the boat with this flag. So there's no horn or anything, there is a horn. Sorry.
Oh, so it's the mark is missing from the course.
From the course, and it's called a missing mark, and it's, when you see this, no, it's not long, it's continuous. Beep, 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 beep. Because you're letting every boat out there know that this is the mark. We've lost the mark, it floated away, it's not in the right place.
So it could be in the middle of the race.
Oh yeah, it's usually, sometimes we lose our finish mark, sometimes we lose our windward mark, sometimes we lose our gate. And some people will just let the gate and say on the sailing instructions, if there's not a gate, take the single mark to port. But you can also put a boat out there and have a missing mark, and there's the same gate going around either way they want. And then the other flag, which is the S flag, which is shortened course. You'll see this flag. If you see this flag again, I think it's multiple horns. Two. The first boat. 2 horns, you see this on a boat, you are now finishing between the boat that has this mark and the mark that you were coming up to.
Oh, that's the finish.
That's the finish line. This is the new finish line, and we just did this in the big boats. The wind just totally dropped. We all jumped off the signal boat. We went on a Mark 7 boat. We ran over to Mark 7. And we flew this, and we were the finish line between Mark 7 and this.
To the relief of the sailors.
Yes.
Within 6 seconds.
Within 6 seconds. Okay, now this is the 2 horns for the last one.
And no horn for the M flag? No, it's
a continuous
beat. So you just continue to do that until all.
Yes, you gotta let everybody know that you're the mark.
And if in the scenario of the moved windward mark, and you're doing twice the distance, then you've sailed the actual course. If somebody ignores it and does the improper order, you can disqualify them because they didn't sail the
Race
actual
committee
course.
won't disqualify. Competitors have to protest.
There you go. So it is, again, on the water, you have to watch what the other boats are doing.
Okay, this is the N flag. It's abandoned. It goes up with 3 sounds. That means we're done. You know, and with that, or the postpone, which is 2, if you're abandoning, if you see this flag, what is this flag? There's so many I don't use very often. This is the H flag. The H flag with the postpone or with the abandon is no more sailing today, further signals ashore. Now there may be a lightning storm, or I should not say no more today. We're abandoning, get back to the club or get to safe position, and we will have further signals ashore, which, you know, there might be a thunderstorm roar through. We're all in safe harbor, and we still have 6 hours left on our sailing day. We may send everybody back out. So this just means further signals ashore, whether it's postponed or abandoned. It flies with either. Huh?
Does that fly with the AP?
It can fly with the AP. It means postpone further signals ashore or abandon for further signals ashore. See, we may not have started a race, but we want to get you back, and we'll have more signals. Or we have started a race, forget it, get back, and we'll give you more signals at shore.
Could that be an emergency on the water too? Somebody's following in, there's a disaster going on, and we decide to abandon because, of course, there's a disaster.
Only if the disaster affects the whole fleet. If there's a heart attack on a single boat, we're not going to abandon the race.
Okay.
You know, safety first. We're going to make sure that person's okay. And if the signal boat cannot handle both the emergency and the race, or the mark set boats can't take care of the safety, we'll throw the abandon
Oh,
up.
okay.
Or postpone. Now this, again, will fly. This is the A. It will fly with either a postpone or the abandon. And this says no more racing today. Just, we're done for today. Whether we postpone, we didn't start the race, go back, we're done for the day, or go back, or we have abandoned, no more racing today. So in one case, there's a possibility there might be more racing. If you see this with either the postpone or the end flag, there's no more racing.
Now, you often fly two flags together?
Always together. In fact, they fly like, okay, this is, whatever. Here it is. They fly like this. It's always either postpone or the end flag over the A or H. So that's why I like the little flags. These are getting really big.
I know.
I only have 3 of the set of 5. But this is the C flag or the Charlie flag. And when you see this flown, it means we're changing the course on you. The course will be changed. If you're at the leeward, and you have to see it coming into a mark means your next leg will be changed. You can't change a leg if there's boats on that leg. So if you see this at the leeward mark, start looking for a different location of your windward mark. And so to help you, we fly either an all red flag, which is not a start flag, an all red flag, which means go to the port, it will be to the port, or we fly this flag, which is that's go port, and this is just go starboard. So you'll see the change of course, you'll see either go starboard or go port. And then the 2 I'm missing is there's a plus and a minus. If you fly the plus flag, it means the windward mark is further away than it was on the port or starboard side. If you have a minus, it means it'll be closer in than where you were looking for the last time. So that missing those, these are all the flags that you need. Again, there's pennants from 1 to 9. I don't have any pennants, but the club has them. And the club has all these flags. So if you ever go out and want to run a race, you have all the flags that are available. So any last questions?
Yeah, so if you have a mixed fleet, like, PHRF, you can use basically any class flag that you want, like you can say the class flag is pink or something like that. Is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, typically we do green and purple, green and pink. We used to do blue, but we have to avoid blue now because that's a finish. So yeah, any color is fine, and that's in the sailing instructions. PHRF will be green, PHRF A will be green, PHRF B will be purple. Yeah. Yeah.
When you change the course, and you're using that change of course, is the mark boat out there with the missing mark flag?
Nope, they have already placed the new mark in its appropriate position. We're just letting you know the course has changed, it's either port or starboard, or it's closer or further away.
So the mark boat has to work very quickly at that point.
In between the round, the last boat that rounds the windward mark, the PRO will be on the phone and say, bring that mark in, 200 yards, a quarter of a mile, bring it in, it's just too far out, or, you know, this leg is too short, send it out another quarter of a mile.
And from the race boat, you'll fly those 2 flags together, and
Yeah.
that's all they get, that's it.
Yeah, well, it's 3 flags really. It's Charlie, change of course, whether you go port or starboard, or whether it's closer or further away.
Plus and minus, yeah, okay.
And for the big boats, you also signal on the radio?
Yes, we try to hail at all times, and we typically get a mark set boat out for the little kids and say, you know, check the Charlie flag.
We started talking about this at the last meeting where you're doing a general recall and you have 4 classes going and you're doing these rolling starts. This is very complicated for me. So could you just walk through for a second what you would do?
Okay.
A general recall and you've got 3 more classes to start. What are we going to do with these people?
Typically, or generally, you will run the 5-minute sequence, and you will send them off. And if there's a general recall, you call them back.
Right.
You're not doing what I call a rolling start. You wait till everybody's clear, or the general recall has been seen, and then you give them a warning, and you start the next fleet. So it's not, you start one fleet, you give yourself 30 seconds, you start the next fleet.
Right.
So they have time to clear if it's an individual recall, and they have time to regroup if it's general. Because we have 5 fleets in the youth regatta, I tell them it's going to be a rolling start. If you have a general recall and you see the sign, that pennant will stay flying for 1 minute until the preparatory, you know, in a rolling start, the lasers have gone, is starting, and the sunfish are now.
Right.
And I call a general recall to the lasers. So we put up the general recall. So we've got the sunfish in sequence. We've got a general recall for the lasers. I've told the lasers, or anybody that's general, go to the back of the fleet.
Okay.
That general recall flag will only fly until the prep flag of the sunfish goes up.
Oh.
On that horn, when that sunfish prep flag goes up, we take the general recall down because I may need it for the sunfish. And the reason the flag's up there is from when it comes down, it's 1 minute to the next warning. So I tell them, you'll have plenty of time, unless you're the last fleet, you'll have plenty of time to resync your watches to the 3 or 5 minutes. So, you know, you will see it come down, but that does not mean you're next. You're in the back of the fleet.
It's 3 minutes for small boats, 5 minutes for big boats.
Correct. You can do 5 minutes for small boats, but there's usually multiple fleets and you want to get them going.
Yeah, right.
So, and it's one of the rules that you can do 3 or 5. So, any other questions? Well, thank you for attending, and as always, you probably all saw my email from last time. If you have any questions, feel free to call back, and thank you, Art, for putting this all together.
Fill out your orange slips if you want credit for your volunteer hours for attending.
Just one comment. Okay, maybe 2. So you're going to run a race, and you know we've got an equipment locker there under the deck, and you go into it, and there's all this stuff hanging all over the place, and it can be a little overwhelming. But if you think about it down to the simplest terms, so when you go in there, we all know what this is. It's the white ball, and we call it the white ball. So somebody says, you got the white ball, this is what you get. And there's some that aren't as white as others, but basically, you'll always have the white ball because it is the start line and the finish line. So you're always going to have this thing. And then there are these, you need a mark, right? You're gonna run a race, you got a start line, you got a finish line, and you got to have something for those guys to sail around. So you need something that floats, and then we have, what is this? This is the yellow cylinder. We call it the yellow cylinder. And there's a bunch of these, and this is what I'd recommend grabbing. You see, you'll use this maybe 80% of the time. Unless you use that thing, which is the orange cone. And why would you use that instead of this? We don't know. It's just however you feel. No, seriously, you just got to have something for those guys to sail around, and you tell them what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So you either have you got an orange cone, or you have a yellow cylinder. So, you see that boat loaded out there. The race committee's out there, and they're putting all this stuff in the boat, and they've got flags, and they got this stuff. And well, keep in mind there's anchors to go with these. That's very important. Keep in mind, they're very important. There's anchors. And so, if you whittle it down to the simplest terms, you could run a race with just 5 items. You got to have a white ball for a start line. You got to have something to sail around. These flags are the language of the race committee. That's how we communicate. But when push comes to shove, if you had a red flag, which is your start line, and you had a class flag, and you had a prep flag, you can run a race. You don't even need a horn. You don't need wind finders. You don't need. But my point is, it's not really overwhelming. Now, do you need all this stuff? It really helps. And yes, it's important. But if you miss something, like can happen, like you get out there and somebody says, "Where's the L flag?" Well, I thought you were getting it. Well, no, I didn't get it. Somebody didn't get it. Well, so you can still run a race. You don't have the L flag. You don't have the postponed flag. You can still run it. So think of it on the simplest terms. You got to have a couple flags to get the race started, somebody to record the thing when they finish, and a marker too. And as you get used to running races, you'll get used to all these other flags. As you're running races, you'll forget a few. It's not the end of the world. It's not overwhelming. That's my only point.
And real quick, as a clarification, the prep and the I flag, the whole hull of the boat has to cross the start line they've got to come back, the whole hull of the boat. The sails and the extensions don't, but the hull does.
So just ask you a question. So in the case of the black flag or the I flag, that's normally, like, my experience of that would be you have a big fleet and there's been 2 or 3 general recalls.
And the PRO is getting ticked off.
Getting ticked off, and he says, "Okay, if you guys keep this bathing, here's what you're going to get." So normally the I flag would come out after there's been like 1 or 2 general recalls, or
it's up to the PRO. I've seen races where they know it's an aggressive fleet and they'll put up the U flag right away. But typically, as Pat says, 2 general recalls. Because 1 general recall is usually the race committee's fault. It's not a square line. It's not a square course. But if you determine that your course is square and it's an aggressive fleet, you give them the benefit of the doubt for the first one. If it's a second one, then you start throwing penalty flags. But if I know my course is square and I have a general recall and I want to get this regatta going, I'll throw up the U flag.
So those flags stay flying through the sequence. You don't use them as a prep flag.
No, they are a prep flag. That's what I said. There's 5 prep flags.
So you actually, instead of using P, you use the I or the S.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's any one of those 5 is the preparatory flag. Yep.